There it is.
Break up here.
And we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bigfoot Odysseys Researchers Reports. I'm your host, Kerry. On with me, as always, producer and co-host of the report, Miss Daniela Iolo. How are you, dear?
I'm good. I'm awake and sober.
You are? Well, that makes one of us. All right. I'm awake. And sober.
Good.
Yeah, somewhat. Have a great show planned for you tonight. Our guest for this evening, he is the creator of South Alabama Sasquatch on YouTube. You can check him out there, Mr. Aaron Davis. Welcome, Aaron. How you doing?
Still adjusting.
All right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. We might have a little bit of a delay. Can you hear me okay?
A little breakup. Yeah, we got a little breakup here. Let me see if I can adjust this thing and get it a little better here.
Yeah, I think we've got some delay going on.
Let's see. How's that? Is that any better?
Yeah, no, we see you fine, but I think there's some delay in our audio.
I'm hearing you better now, and as far as the audio goes.
Okay, good. So you're hearing us in real time? You think? Well, we're going to get into your encounters. Before we do, got a few things to announce. I had announced our Spook Week coming up, and I kind of got a little preemptive. I announced Bob Gimlin, and we have a message out to Bob. I haven't heard back from him, but that was one that was my fault, my mistake. I thought Daniela had gotten him already, but we're working on it. So hopefully we will get him. But we are going to have Wes Germer, Dr. Jeff Meldrum's going to be on, and a few others that you guys are going to be surprised. And that's coming up. That starts October 25th through the 31st. And we'll have it'll be our regular researcher report hour, 7:00 p.m. Central. Me and Daniela will be on. These people are just going to come on and tell spooky stories. It's not going to be interviews or anything like that. Just kind of the better known researchers and personalities here telling scary and creepy stories. That's really all we do for Spook Week. But we have a lot of fun with it, and we hope you guys join us for that. We'll be announcing that as we go along. And shout outs to Jamie Harms, Central Florida Bigfoot. That's Matt Larson for the donations. Thank y'all so much for that. We certainly do appreciate all the support. Well, Aaron, have you got everything situated?
It's in and out.
Is it?
Let's see. Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Okay. I'm hearing you better. Okay,
good.
I'm hearing you better now. I had to adjust this thing.
We have had to power through these before. So what we'll do is we'll get into what you're doing. You're doing Bigfoot research. I think you just muted yourself. Okay, there it is. It's not muted now. You've been doing some Bigfoot research. You're in South Alabama. Why don't you just kind of give us a little summary of what you thought about Bigfoot before you ever decided to do any research about it, and what happened to get you interested in the subject?
Well, so since I was little, as far back maybe kindergarten, first grade, I've always had a real interest in all the paranormal things, even ghosts and UFOs, Sasquatch, more so with Sasquatch. That kind of always grabbed me a little bit, even more than the others. So, just hearing stories and reading books ever since I was little. And that's, I just hearing some of my family members tell some stories. So checking out books from the libraries, just reading. I didn't do a whole lot of reading, but the reading that I did do, it was usually paranormal books and things along that line. But
was there any one thing in particular that pushed you into starting research? Was it just where you live, because you lived in the woods and wanted to check it out, or what?
Well, I mean, when we first actually moved on the property, I've always been interested in doing research, but when we actually moved on the property, I was never expecting to have the activity here. You know, that's just really a dream come true, and it's rare actually. So when we first moved on the property and things kind of started happening, it kind of really motivated me to kind of get started, you know, and I've actually here in the past about month or so have gotten even more motivated and gotten started to really start documenting and sharing to put out, which I started the channel to put out what I'm capturing or what I'm getting. So,
Well, I know you sent me some pictures, and there's some pretty interesting tree structures. You know, one thing about tree structures is, you know, they're very subjective, and unless you're
exactly.
there with it, you know, and pictures just don't give the right
For
context
sure.
to them.
For sure.
So I didn't even bother with putting them up here. You've
For
got
sure.
one where it's a log, it's way up in the air, and it's suspended parallel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Matt
Mm-hmm.
Larson sent me a picture of almost exactly the same thing. So I mean, maybe that's them,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that means something. But you have heard vocals around there. You've got activity going on, right?
Oh, for sure. I actually and I'm still beating myself up over this. I had not quite had my audio going at the time, and this was about maybe a week and a half ago, and it was the best audio or the best vocal that I've ever heard here. Um, and they're always going to be in with coyotes for the most part. They'll very rarely will you hear them sound off on their own. They're going to be mainly they'll start in with the coyotes or start before the coyotes, and they'll kind of get them going. But this, um, for I'm, it made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It froze me in my tracks. I was actually in the middle of getting some firewood, getting my fire going, getting ready to get going for the night and record some things. And it was maybe I would say it was no more than maybe 50, 60 yards from me. But the only way I could describe this was it was almost like a man being killed. It was just unreal, and I had never heard all the audio that I have heard and listened to over the years of Sasquatch. I haven't heard one quite similar to this until I got on. I actually started looking on YouTube and found one actually in I believe it's Southwest Alabama, and it's the exact same audio as what I heard. I just didn't get that recorded, and I'm still beating myself up over that because um, around here they're not really vocal. They'll knock more so than anything.
I always heard knocks. I mean, I probably live an hour from you, and from where I had my
Mm-hmm.
encounter is probably no more than an hour and a half from where you live. And I always heard knocks. I never heard a vocalization that I can remember,
Mm-hmm.
and that sounded, you know, out of the way or
Right.
abnormal. So I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. But I did definitely hear knocks, and
Well, they'll sneak in. They'll sneak in with the coyotes. If you gotta really catch them, and for the most part, it'll be right at the beginning. Usually, when the coyotes start sounding off, they'll sneak in with them. And I've yet to figure that out. What the correlation there is, and I know for a fact that it's well known within the Bigfoot community that they do um, sound off with coyotes. I just don't know the correlation there,
yeah, we actually have heard that a few times.
but
That
they'll sneak in there.
yeah, we have definitely heard that a few times where coyotes and Bigfoot sound off together, or either before or after one
Mm-hmm.
another. And I've had people tell me how in the world they know this is beyond me, but that they have coyotes for pets. So I don't, you know, that's how in the world
I've
anybody.
heard that. I've heard that myself. Now I'm not gonna speculate
It's
that
pure
far out. And
it's pure conjecture. Believe me,
right, and for the most part, a lot of it is. You know, a lot of things are within this subject. So yeah, but I have heard that myself a couple times.
that's definitely one of those things where you would have to ask the Sasquatch. Yeah,
Right,
what you
for
doing?
sure.
Yeah, well, you know, there are pets. How anybody else would know that, I don't know. I've had people tell me that some of those long calls are mating calls. It's another one I don't know how in the world they would know.
As
I
far as
want to
that
know how
goes,
they know.
I've heard a couple of different opinions or ideas on that. I've heard they hunt with them. I've heard that it's actually a territorial thing between them. I've heard a couple of different things. I'm not quite sure, and I've never really speculated on or quite
Well,
on
what
what I
makes
think
more
about
what
it.
Nobody
makes more
knows.
sense to me? What was that, Daniela?
Nobody knows. Nobody
No,
knows.
nobody knows. But what makes more sense to me is that if it is happening simultaneously or before or after, is that one's either causing the other, or since they're so predisposed to hiding, that they're using that to kind of disguise themselves from everybody else, and maybe everybody will think that they're the coyotes.
Right.
I don't know. Nobody
Right.
does.
And I do know as well, if you can sound off a knock, like if you can do a knock, and that'll get the coyotes going just themselves. So they
Really?
recognize that, right?
Tell
They
us about the
hear, I
knocks.
know.
Tell us about the knocks you're hearing. What kind are they? Are they pretty frequent?
Oh yeah, they'll usually they'll sound off pretty frequently, and most of the time, I can normally get a pretty quick response as far as knocks go. Now they can be stubborn. They can make a fool out of. They've made a fool out of me several times. They'll do it and it's almost like they'll know if I've turned my audio off, and they won't knock if my audio's on. As soon as I have to turn it off to charge something, they'll start cracking off. Now,
Almost like they know.
for sure.
There was a saying, the only person I've ever researched with was Mark Zansky and Melanie Zansky down in Florida, Crypto Reality. And he had a saying, ABF, always be filming. So someone, because it stands true, because the one time that we were not filming is when we had one run or something, ran right beside us and jumped in the water and scared the ever living out of me. So it kind of rang true. If we'd have been filming, we'd have at least caught that audio on there. So, but before Daniela gets into grilling you for a few questions, I want to let everybody know in the chat we are going to take questions for Aaron a little bit later on in the show. It's just a 1 hour show, our research report. Just ask everyone to keep it civil for us and no arguing back and forth. We do appreciate that. Keep it clean for us. It is a family show. We try to keep it family anyway. So
have you had an encounter, Aaron?
Well, say again.
Have you had an encounter then?
Have I had an encounter? Well, I've actually, I'm not going to say me. My wife, actually, about a quarter mile from here, she has a visual sighting. It's posted actually on a website. I'm not even going to disclose that website.
it's on the BFRO. We'll tell
She does
everybody.
have that.
I'll tell them.
Okay, yeah, okay. We'll go ahead and say that. Yeah,
We talk
she
about
has a
them
Class
every
A sighting on the BFRO now. The most intense encounter that I've had, and my wife was actually present during this encounter as well. I was actually doing some knocks. This has been it's about 3 to 4 years ago. Let's see, I want to say it was around 2016, 2017, maybe somewhere in there. I had been doing some knocks, and about, I'm going to say 50, 60 yards off to my left, I heard one coming in. I could hear him knocking in.
Uh-oh. We lost him. I kind of expected that. His internet was fine earlier. I don't know if because we went live, maybe had to use a little bit more bandwidth, but
Feels like it.
Yeah.
Something happened when we went live because he's here.
You got him? Oh, sorry. Well,
Lost me there for a minute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So I was doing the knocks and I could hear him coming in about 50, 60 yards off to my left.
What'd you hear?
He was plainly knocking back, coming on down. response knocks. So where he was off to my left is my property. There is about 10 acres on that side. He came down, stopped at the wood line. When me and my wife actually walked down that, I know he stopped there. So there's an open field is my other 9 or 10 acres. So we proceeded to walk the wood line, and I was doing a couple of knocks, and I could hear something obviously on 2 feet bipedal was paralleling us in the wood line and would give subtle knocks back. So we walked about, let's see, I'm going to say 30 to 40 yards to where it kind of opens up on my property there, up into the wood line. And when I noticed off to the right also, we began to hear some sound like footsteps on this side as well. Now to the left was a bigger one. I'm just going to say it was an adult. I'm going to say the one to the right was either a female that he was being protective with, or a juvenile. The only way I can describe it is a Brahma bull had cut loose in there, and he broke over a pretty good sized tree. I heard it snap, and it was just.
Feels like there's something going on. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, I think his daughter's running around in the background there. I think she just
up the bandwidth. Yeah. I think eating the data.
I talked to her a little bit earlier before the show. He had to get up and do something, and I didn't see her, but I could hear her. And there he is.
Technical difficulties here.
We are having a few technical difficulties. This is what happens when you work on the net, and we do this internet browser-based format here. It happens occasionally.
See if I can adjust my phone over where it may pick up a little better. How am I coming through?
You're good right now.
Okay. So to the left, as I was saying, was obviously it was a pretty good size creature. I'm assuming it was an adult male. And then
now you said, hold on a second, Aaron. You said it sounded like a bull had cut loose. You said a Brahma bull, which is a big, huge animal, a 2,000-pound animal, had cut loose. And you mean just like running through the woods, right?
I'm right. I think I'm not even saying, at first it sounded like he was just blowing, spinning. We heard a tree crack and fall. I tried to find that tree, could not find it. It's so thick in there. But it was just for some reason that night it scared me more. It got to me more. For some reason I felt more threatened even than my wife did, and I still don't really understand that. I don't know, me being the male, he was directing something at me. I'm not sure, but I felt more threatened. But I do know that there was one to the right, and then this one was to the left, and he was drawing the attention. And I guess he assumed that I was going to try to go in and maybe mess with the juvenile or the female or whichever it was over there. I'm assuming that's just an assumption, but the one to the left, he was pretty good size. I know that.
What about smell? Could you smell anything?
I have on occasion. I have on occasion been able to smell them. A smell that is not like anything else. Now, that doesn't mean now every time that I know that they've been around, I haven't smelled that smell. So I don't think I'm not quite sure if they have a gland that they are kind of emitting something from or something like that. But I know the times that I've been around them, I haven't always smelled that. So And now that particular time, no, we didn't smell anything.
So is this the account that's with the
But
BR?
it's not. This was actually after that that sighting. That was actually a visual sighting. She actually saw the bottoms of the feet, the whole body. It was walking down the side of the road, about a quarter mile from our home. Mm-hmm.
Tell us that story.
And she would tell you. So let's see. Actually, it was actually in September of, I want to say 2014. September
that's what the
2014.
BFR is. 2014.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I believe, yes. September 2014. We were actually coming home. We had been watching football at my aunt's house, and we were coming home. It was around 2:30. I want to say between 2:30 and 3 a.m. So we came. There's chicken houses to the right as you were approaching a four-way stop, and coming down the side of the road, she said she thought it was a guy in a hood with a jacket on with a hood, all black. She said when the light hit the fur, it shined, and the bottoms of the feet were white. She actually tried to wake me up, and I never budged. But she said if I had been awake, I could have actually stuck my hand out the window and probably touched him.
Oh, it was that close.
He was that close, right? Now he had his back to us. He was actually traveling the same direction as we were.
How big?
She said now he wasn't overly tall, and that's one thing I will say about these here. I don't think they're overly, I don't think they're pushing 10, 11 feet, anything like that. And the ones that I believe they're a little more slender. I guess it's a geographical thing, maybe.
It could just be an individual thing. As simple as that.
It could be. She said he was probably, she would estimated between 6 and 7 feet. Now he wasn't tiny by any means, but he wasn't 10, 11 feet or anything. But she said it reminded her. Of like.
Are you having trouble there, Aaron?
I am. I'm trying to keep this phone propped up.
It's not working.
You just start leaning against something.
Let's see if I can get this thing.
Yeah,
there we go. She said Darth Vader is what stuck out to her. Like that's all that. But like if she was looking at Darth Vader from behind, and she wouldn't care about Bigfoot or didn't believe in it a day from didn't care in it, didn't believe in it. But certain things she told me, not just anybody would know. So I knew when she had started describing some of the things she saw that, she wasn't kidding, which she wouldn't have been kidding about anything like that anyway. So
it does seem a little out of character for them just to be walking down the side of the road. But I mean, you apparently got close enough that she got a good enough look at this thing. And we don't know enough about them to understand all their different behaviors and why they do some of the things that they do. Sometimes they appear to just be so uber reclusive. And then other times here they are standing out on the side of the road for you to throw a beer bottle at.
Other times they can just be blatantly there. And this is one thing I'll say about that. It was really, really foggy that night. Super foggy. And I think maybe he felt a little comfortable.
Thought it couldn't be seen.
There's not a lot of traffic out this way. So I think he kind of got a little comfortable there.
Well, I see your daughter getting in the picture a little bit, and I actually talked to her when you were going to get your earbuds. I could hear her, but I couldn't see her on camera. So I asked if there was anybody there. And when we talked for a few minutes, and she's actually interested in the subject. So, and I'll ask her since we can actually see her on camera. Can she hear us? Probably not.
No, she can't. I've got the earbuds in here.
Well, you can relay. What's her name?
Ava.
All right, Ava, we're going to ask you a couple of questions.
Let's ask you a couple of questions.
Have you had any experiences? Have you heard anything, seen anything?
He wants to know, have you heard or seen anything? What have you seen?
I heard what you heard that night.
That's right. She was actually out when I was recording about a week and a half or so ago. We actually had the knocks. She actually got to hear a knock, and we got it's either a tree broke off or pushed over.
Right.
So yep.
So, what about the area that you're in? Has there been lots of reports around there?
There have been several reports. Actually, I was looking about, if you go about 10 miles from here is a place called Abbeville, and there's actually reports that date back there. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to be way off on this, but I want to say it was the late 40s, early 50s, as well as we've had quite a few on a military base called Fort Rucker, not far from here. Let's see. I want to say there's several, and that's also what I was gonna say. Actually, not far from me, about I'd say about a quarter mile, half a mile. There's actually a military installation landing pad over here. That's they've got quite a few acres over there, and I believe that they stay over there a little bit too. Because they'll use that for they know nobody's coming over there.
There were actually 2 other reported sightings to the BFRO besides your wife's in Dauphin, or just outside in the area. It was Henry County, I think.
Henry County. Now, see, that's actually my county. It's Henry County.
Well, that's where they were. It's Henry County.
And then I believe there's a couple in Dale County, which is not far from here either.
Well, like I said, you were literally 60 miles as the crow flies from where I had my own personal experience. So they're all over the place there. It's the Pine Belt. There's so many green belts for them to just move through there, I believe.
Where exactly did you say you had? Where was that your side?
Collins, Mississippi. Mississippi. Between Prentice and Collins off Dan Easterling Road. If anybody ever decides to look it up, it was back in that area.
Okay. Actually, a lot of times when I'm trying to tell people, we're giving them some stuff to watch, I'll tell them to watch your video where you're explaining your sighting and how it kind of changed your mind about hunting, after you had hunted.
Never hunted again. Still haven't. Never will.
I mean, that's if that doesn't sway somebody's opinion when a man has hunted all his life, and then something that it's that traumatic to make a man do something that he loves, that he's done all his life, then I don't know what else to tell you.
I did a podcast. If anybody wants to go check it out, I did an interview with Alex Petikoff. I was on his show Monday night. Sasquatch Out of the Shadows. You can go watch that. It's the same story I've always told. With a few try to make it a little different every time. But it was I forgot what I was going to say. It was right on the tip of my brain, and I forgot what it was. But someone asked me if I was dreaming. That's what it was. Is it possible that I fell asleep and dreamed the whole thing? And I never thought of that, really. I don't think that's what happened because of all the things that had happened, prior to that, and then the evidence afterward. But I thought about that. If I could have been sitting there and fell asleep and dreamed the whole thing and just woke up and thought of that, but no, it didn't. It happened.
Well,
I was there. It did happen.
Well, I mean, I've had people still that believe that there's one singular creature running around the whole of North America.
Right. That's pretty common. That's a pretty common conception. But I had never even
can't be serious.
Well, I had never even thought about that before. We always talk about perception, and perception being reality here, and any one of us being able to point back at some point in our life to something that's just not in keeping with everyday reality. Something strange happening to any one of us. We could tell a story, I'm sure. And that one for me, it was pretty epic. The whole thing, but just the way I feel about it, the whole thing happened. You're having these experiences. People have had sightings around there. These creatures are there. That's just the way it is. They exist and they're there. Have you had a sighting yourself?
There's no way around it.
Have you seen one yourself? Even a glimpse?
I'm just saying, I'm breaking.
Yeah, that whatever you got your phone hooked up on there, it's just not working.
Have I seen one myself?
Yes.
Well,
Even a glimpse.
In photos, like I said, I was actually telling you earlier, I have a photo, and I actually didn't send that. I'm sitting on it, and I'm on the fence about it. I am, but I'm not. I've been in actually a couple of times, trying to get some measurements on where he was at, because I want to kind of make sure that it's not just my eyes playing tricks on me, which I'm quite certain it's not. But I'm just I'm skeptical that way of myself. I want to, before I put something out like that, because with this subject, to me, it's not a joke whatsoever, and I take it very seriously. So before I put something out like that, I don't want to just, see what I'm saying. I don't want to just put anything out. But
well, I can tell you this. And I speak.
Photos and
let me tell you this, Aaron. And I'll speak from experience on this. If it looks like it could be pareidolia, even if you know what's there yourself, if it looks like it could be a blob squatch or pareidolia, it might as well be.
Well,
that's what I'm going to say. If it's not perfectly clear, you might as well just hold on to it, because you're going to get lambasted for it, and I'd hate to see that happen to you.
Well, if it was just a face, I may think differently, but clearly, to me, I can make out chest features. I can make out where hair is actually missing and an arm.
Okay. Well, that may be different.
And the gray face, it's pretty definitive to me, but that's just me. So, and I do know what you're saying. It can be, that's why I'm saying I don't want to just throw it out there right now. I want to kind of be for sure, but.
Well, there's just a lot of healthy skeptics out there, and we appreciate them absolutely, because we need them in this subject, and they're always
the photos are the last thing that's going to convince anybody, though, especially when it's behind a tree.
Right.
I mean, well,
to be fair,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go on, sorry, Aaron.
Well, I was going to say we have the Patterson Gimlin film. We have, and I think one of the most underrated videos, and I'm not sure, if a lot of people, which I'm sure, within the community, people do know, but the Stacy Brown FLIR footage was actually taken, around Tallahassee. Let's see.
Yeah.
Somewhere right outside of Tallahassee. I forget the exact location, but that's one of the most underrated pieces of footage there is. We have that.
Probably
Freeman
because
footage.
of Stacy.
I mean, we have videos like that, so I don't really see where I could, if anything I could get, could make be any more influential than what those.
Well, it's all about context, Aaron. And whatever narrative you have to go with it. If it's something you saw actually, and there's a story to tell with it, and you're like, this is what I captured. If it's something you found after the fact, and there's no comparison photo, that's when it becomes really, truly subjective.
Sure.
And people jump all over it. Whether you know what's there or not, it's just what happens in this subject. You know this. That's why you haven't put it in.
That's exactly what this photo is. I was actually going through some tree structure photos, just going back, looking through at them, and had noticed this, and actually zoomed in and it did some cropping on it, and was looking, and but it's not something that I've seen right then at that moment and was able to even video. It's just a photo, and it's merely after the fact. So
well, whatever questions Daniela has for you, we'll go ahead and get those out of the way, and then we'll start taking questions from the chat for Aaron. Anybody that's got questions for Aaron, go ahead and get those prepared. Please put them all in caps for us, so they'll make it easier for Daniela to find. Daniela, he's already.
Well, this one's just sticking out at me. We do not need the skeptics, but we do need skeptics. We do need the kind of balance.
Yeah, we need them.
Of people to be objective and not involved and too much, to be able to sit on the outside at least and have a
Well, if there's no one there to hold our feet to the fire, then it's going to get truly out of control. And we see that a lot. There's a lot of Facebook groups
Well,
that actually do this. They'll just throw up
well,
whatever.
then everything is Sasquatch, right?
It can, yeah. Well, it ends up being that way, you know, when there's no checks and balances. And, you know, we can't self-govern. I can prove this. I can prove this to the world. Go to Walmart right now and see how many buggies there are sitting out in the middle of the parking lot. And this is true because there's no consequences, even though it's the right thing to do to put your cart where it belongs. There's no consequences for not putting it where it belongs. So if there are no consequences, and this is just the way the world is, it's not everybody, but there is a faction of people out there. This is why we need skeptics, because for the most part, as a society, we cannot self-govern. We just can't do it. There have to be consequences for actions, or people are just going to go crazy and wild. And it's happening all over some cities right now, as a matter of fact, in the United States. I have to say it. But that's just a perfect example right there. People leave their cart. They don't put their cart up. They just let it go out in the parking lot to hit whoever's car because they don't care. It's not their worry anymore. And
I agree totally, for sure.
That's my proof that for sure. Some people they just can't self-govern. That is why we need skeptics in this and in every fringe subject. There need to be those healthy skeptics, you know, that are would consider the possibility, but still are a hard sell. You know, we have to have them. We have to have them. So we're taking questions right now if anybody has one.
What are you doing in terms of research then? Have you thought about doing any gifting?
Well, I have done some gifting. I've done some feeding. I'm gonna be honest with you. The feeding, given the what I have chose to feed them, has worked pretty good. I'm not going to sit here and say I recommend that to just anybody.
What do you mean by worked pretty good? That the food got taken?
It did.
Is it? I mean, will any animal take food? Would it be more interesting to do objects? Do you think?
Well, yes, ma'am. Any animal will take food. I just don't know of many that are leaving 12, 13, 14-inch footprints.
Right.
Beside where the food is at. So you are right about that. That's a thing. And a lot of times, you know, you can like, you know, put it to where you would say something else couldn't get it, you know, as far as raccoons or some other kind of small predator. But I don't know of any raccoons that are leaving 12 to 14-inch footprints that are, you know, 7-8 inches wide. So
yeah, I don't think raccoons have big feet like that. There was one here.
Did you see one?
Where's it gone? How close are they to your house? Boots on the ground with Barb.
Can you see that, Aaron?
How close are they to my house?
Yes.
I can. How close are they to my house? I actually have a group within a good stone throw. I can go right to. So maybe to get into this little pocket of woods, maybe 30 yards.
Right. So when you say a group of them, are you measuring is there a different set of prints and you can work out there's different ones traveling together?
Can you repeat that? You broke up a little bit there.
When you're finding your prints, are you just finding one set of prints or different sizes of prints to know it's a group? How do you know it's a group?
Variations in size. Variations in size with variations in size. You can just definitely tell they're juveniles. They're going to be, I mean, what I'm assuming are the adult males, and then the females are going to be a little smaller, but just in the structures of the feet, you can almost make out, I'm trying to find a good word here to use. The details, there's subtle details in there that you can just see that are belong to that certain individual.
Okay. What do you think are the differences between adult and juvenile prints? do you think there's room to develop, and what's the what bit's developing, do you think?
You broke up a little bit there again. I'm sorry.
What do you think the difference is between juvenile? I know, just not just size, but in terms of development. Have you noticed a difference between juvenile and adult prints?
You know,
Just the size.
the size, right? You know, I'm not for sure, but I believe what I'm seeing here is maybe some defects among some of them. Maybe they're missing a toe. Maybe I'm not quite for sure, or if it's just not as far as them leave the imprint that they're leaving. If it's just not showing all the digits, but I have noticed a couple that are, and they only show. Usually it's 4. So I don't know if they're minus a toe there or what they got going on there, but you know, there are some with 5, and then, but I've noticed actually a juvenile cast that I have only shows 4 digits.
Let me tell you this, Aaron, and
So
I just want to say this right quick. When I talked to you on the phone, and the main reason that I wanted to get you on this show is because you say the right things. When you talk about this subject, it's I believe, I think, what I found, what I suspect. We are really having trouble with holding that phone up today, I tell you. It's we probably should have done a test a little bit earlier, don't you think?
I think so. I got a dog under here under the table. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you the most beautiful part of all of this is that you seem to have the support of your family, and that's, like I said, the absolute best, most beautiful thing of all is that you're supported in this. You're not in it alone, because there are a lot of people that I talk to that their family doesn't even know they watch Bigfoot videos. They'll call me on the phone. Kerry, I got these crazy, weird things going on. I was like, well, you know what we do? You want to come on the show? Do you want to come on the show and talk about this? Oh, Lord, no, I don't want to. I don't want my wife might find out. You know, so it's absolutely an awesome thing that you got your kids there with you, and they're in it. They understand what's going on. Your wife has seen this. They know what's going on. I think you're in the infancy, obviously, of your search. And
sure.
the best thing I can tell you to do is don't listen to anybody else, man. Don't listen to any of these experts. Go out there, do your thing, and then you tell us what you're finding, because like I said, you're doing it the right way. You're saying the right things, and you're not casting aspersions and telling us the things that you know already this early in. Bud the Red has a pretty good question here, I think. Did you see that one, Daniela? Here it is. This is Bill. Says, when you're out researching, do you get any particular feelings when you sense, or do you sense them around? Do you sense them around you?
No, for sure. For sure.
What kind of feelings are you getting there?
You know, I've had feelings of it's really hard to explain. You just kind of know. You just kind of know. You can feel it when they're not there. You just know when they're not there. Like the other day, I was up in this particular spot that I was speaking about, where those structures are. Actually, the bulk of those structures that I sent you. The first couple times I was in there, I knew they were there, and then I was actually in there yesterday, and I just kind of knew they weren't there. It's just now I have had when you know there are more than one that are there, that you know there are multiple there, it kind of gets it can get a little tense sometimes, you know, because they can when you're hearing something here, and then you're hearing something over here, and you just kind of know, you know, what it can get a little tense. Yeah, you can I can definitely feel when they're there. You
can. Oh, absolutely. Whenever I became aware and started researching down in Florida, they were around us. There was no doubt. You could hear them walking, and it might have just been me and the feelings that I was having, but it was claustrophobic already. So there was that part of it going on, and me back in the woods for the first time in 10 years probably had something to do with it too. But I did it for 3 months, and it was the same way every time. It was just that you could just tell they were there. There's something
for sure.
about it.
Got a good question from Bomber. Aaron, do you feel safe with them around your kids while they play outside? Have they had any sightings themselves, and do you feel safe out there?
Can I answer it?
I feel pretty safe. I think if anything was going to happen, we've been on this property for about 8 years now. So I think if they had any intentions of harm or and at any time they're capable of that. So I don't think that's anything to worry about.
I think your daughter wants to
at this point. Go ahead.
Yes, I have had a sighting.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was on a late school night, and it was like when I was like 4 maybe, and I had my princess bed. And you were not outside. I know that because it was late.
Well, I gotta make it quick because I gotta relay it to them.
And you were there, and then I told Mommy
We
to
can
come
hear.
out, and then I saw something walking outside my window, and it scared me to death because I thought it was you. But then I saw kind of like it was hair, and I was like, "Is Daddy hairy?"
But no, we've been on this property for about probably about the better part of about 8 years now. So and they play, and they're out here running, and so I don't think that's a problem at this point. And and any time, like I say to myself, if there's no use in you couldn't run if you wanted to. The capabilities that I believe they have, it would. So I don't think.
Well, you can't let it control your life. But I will say this, and the one thing I do believe about these creatures is I believe they are opportunists. I don't put anything past them. I'll just say that.
Yeah, you're correct.
And I hope
that's another
family
thing
knows
that I kind of wanted to weigh in on there too. As far as the, I don't want to step on any toes really, but
it's okay.
They're a predator, and they're opportunistic, like you say, and they. I don't think they're all hugs and loves and kisses. That's my opinion. I don't think that at all.
Well, nothing in the natural world is. Nothing
Right.
in the natural world is, and I don't think they're good or evil in any moral sense. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it's all about survival, and any creature that is predisposed to doing what these creatures apparently do, for the most part, have to be opportunist. You would just assume that whatever the opportunity arises, that they're going to take it. And like I said, I wouldn't put anything past them.
Right. Now, do I let my kids outside playing, past dark or anything like that? No, I wouldn't. But for the most part, just playing around the house here, I don't give too many thoughts about that. But
Jared Indigo Loco has something after this one here. I'll do this next one. Daniela, go ahead.
Francis Mendes, does your dog ever go with you? If so, does it ever act up?
I've actually got 3 dogs, and for the most part, now they will get a little rowdy when they come around sometimes. Actually, I had my pit bull, which is she's pretty not anything you would want to just walk up on, and she actually got a little scared the other night and got up under my truck. I actually got her on video where she's whining and whimpering, and she got up under my truck because there were several had come up around the wood line where they come up out of where I had the bulk of those structures, this group. And so she actually got a little frightened there.
There's such a variance in the stories with dogs. You hear people talk about them. They believe that the dogs that they've befriended the dogs. And then you hear the ones where the dog all of a sudden runs up onto the porch and doesn't come out for hours, or will stand up and start barking or growling, and knowing that you can't see anything there. They're just there's such a broad range of behavior, even with everything around. That's why we just can't nail anything down about these creatures. I don't know what it is. It's got to be an individualism.
It's definitely tough, and I'll tell you one thing too. Some of the audio that I was for sure, because they will whistle. I get them to whistle here and there, and I was for sure the other night. It was about, let's see, about 3 or 4 nights ago. I was for sure. I just knew I had the whistle captured, had it on audio, and nothing. I don't. That's one thing I will say. I can't explain that. And it was maybe 15 yards from me, where the individual had came in and had whistled back at me. I was for sure I had it. Nothing. Replayed the audio. Nothing. So.
Well, you know, any relationship built on trust, be it human or animal, you know, you can eventually earn the trust of an animal, and they'll come up and eat out of your hand. So I don't believe these creatures, for the most part, are any different. I think once you earn their trust, that you'll start to get a lot more out of it. That just seems to be the case in some cases. In others, and sure. Jared Indigo Loco kind of gives us a good segue into this. It's Aaron, what is the strangest suspected Sasquatch activity that you experienced without an actual sighting? Have you had any of the strange, weird things that you hear about that go along with this creature happen to you?
You know, outside of just the audio that I know that for sure that I should have gotten recorded, I've had just things going wrong, like, and just everything just getting botched. You know, and you know that all this should not be going wrong. You can't, you know, things are getting knocked off like here and there. Nothing's recording right. But now as far as, if you're meaning as far as like the paranormal side of it.
Yeah, we might as well touch on it.
You know, I'm going to be quite honest. I haven't.
That's okay.
And that's not to dismiss it by any means. That's not to dismiss that by any means. That's my personal experiences. But now I do know, as far as the audio goes, when you know that, you know, when you recorded a knock that's probably 50 yards, 60 yards from you, but you didn't get a whistle that was 15 yards over here. So that's as far as that goes, that's about the only thing, you know, that I've.
You say you don't dismiss it. How do you feel about the paranormal stuff? You don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
You know, I'll say I can just say that it hasn't happened to me yet. That's what I'll say. I haven't experienced it yet, as far as some of the things that I've heard. And you know, I'll never step on anybody's toes and say that you know, you didn't, because with this subject you can't do that, because I mean, everything is, you know, it's conjecture. It's everybody has their own experiences with it. So, but as far as me, I haven't had anything, you know, as far as on that side of it.
But the people that do experience it, I'm with you. I believe they're experiencing something. Whatever they have perceived is what they perceive, is what happened to them in that moment or moments. I'm trying to get Stacy Hazlitt to come on the show. He's just got some insane ball of light, disappearing Bigfoot stuff. That
now I will say, what I want it to happen. I wish, you know, I'd be all for it if I could get some stuff that you know, some of the things that I've heard other researchers or people say. I'd be down for it, you know.
Well, you're looking out for it, and that's a good thing.
For sure.
Awareness is everything. You see any more, Daniela?
I'm just having a look through. I think we've covered most of the things that have been done. Starts. What have they done at your house that made you realise they were there? Did we talk about that? Sorry. Yeah, we
kind of covered that a little bit, but we can talk about that. We got about 8 minutes left, 7 minutes. 6 minutes.
Vocalizations, more so than knocks. They're big on knocking here for some reason, and they're just not real vocal. That's not to say that
I never once heard a howl or anything. I heard the only vocal I heard was the one I was looking at, and the vocal he made when he walked away. That was the only vocals I had that I knew for sure, other than the bird and owl sounds that I think they made around me. But knocking, that was constant. That was every single time for some reason. And maybe the ones in the South are just a little bit slower and dumber, and they're like 200 or 300 years behind the other ones and haven't figured
right.
out how to do all this
That's
other
all I
stuff
can.
yet.
Yeah, that's all I can chalk it up to. I mean, it's just the maybe it's a variation or geographical, some kind of, you know, as far as, I don't know. I just know the ones here aren't overly vocal. Now
They're
that's
the
not to
rednecks
say
of the Bigfoot world. They're the rednecks of the Bigfoot world. That's what it is. They're just slow and behind everybody else. That's all it is. I'm a redneck, so I'm not disparaging rednecks. I'm with you.
Do you have any idea or feeling as to why they interact with some people and not others?
That's a pretty good question.
As far as that goes, I think if people will get out there, if you'll come out, I can bring anybody out, and you're gonna hear and see what I'm seeing. As far as that goes, I'm also on that side of the fence. I think if you get out here, you'll see. I don't think they pick and choose anybody.
They're not interacting with them on the couch, are they?
Right. You're not gonna have an encounter watching Finding Bigfoot in there on your couch. You know, you gotta get out and see it for yourself. So as far as that goes, yeah, I think anybody, I think you'll see see some things if you come out.
Bob Santi asks if you've made any casts.
I have a what I believe is a juvenile. I actually cast it around October of last year.
Where's that? Can we see it?
I thought I sent that in.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that picture.
I've actually got.
Want me to grab it?
Okay, hold on. Give me just 1 second. I've actually got it right over here. Hey, grab that right there.
Okay.
In that box.
Grab
I'm
it.
gonna get my daughter to grab it over here.
Okay.
While she's grabbing that, this is a good question from Mike. Is gifting safe?
Don't ask me that question. I'll give you my absolute answer on that.
I mean, personally, I wouldn't say just anybody go out there and, you know, if you feel like you know where some active property is, to go out there and start trading gifts. No. I mean, it's, you know, it's conjecture.
Well, I myself don't think it's safe to be anywhere around at any time. Safety, you know, if safety is what you're worried about, don't go looking for Sasquatch, because I think people are in a lot more danger sometimes than they know.
I've mostly done. I've tried a few gifts here and there, and I've never actually gotten them to take anything as far as like gifts go. Now, as far as food goes, I have had them. Now they will take that, but I'll tell you what they will do. I have put apples, stuck them into some tree branches. I've put maybe 8 or 10 apples up into some tree branches. They won't take all of the apples. They will take maybe 4 or 5 and leave some, as I guess is to make it almost look like nothing was taken. I'm not quite sure, but kind of maybe throw you off. But as far as gifting goes, I haven't really had them ever take or leave me anything.
They're definitely good at throwing us off.
Let's see right here.
And that.
Would you shoot one? Primate objective?
Absolutely not.
Me neither.
Oh, that's answered that one.
Good answer.
No. Absolutely not. No.
Is there any particular reason? Is it moral reasons or safety reasons?
Maybe a little bit of both. No, I just I feel that if they wanted to harm me thus far, they could have done that. So I've seen
A lot of people say that, but then we get back to that opportunist deal.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, what's going to happen? You know, if someone does shoot one and we've, you know, it's made public, and then what? We're not going to have these conversations anymore, are we?
No, there have been some killed.
That's a good point there, Daniela. I don't know what will happen once it's validated. I'll tell you what, I think everyone will go back and watch every one of our shows and everybody else, every other video of Sasquatch that's ever been put out, and laughed at that will absolutely happen. We're coming to the end of our show. We're
I've got the cast over here.
yeah, let's see that
You
cast,
see that?
man. Let's see it.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna hold it up here. I'm gonna let my daughter hold it up here, and then I'll let her flip it.
Okay.
Now flip it.
Okay, that's the top part.
Hold on.
The bottom. Yeah, hold it back just a little bit. And wow,
We
that's
kinda get-
that's very bizarre shape,
get it
very
in-
wide.
in some.
But that's a heel.
Let's see if I can get it in
Looks
some, some better light here, and I'll tell you the story behind where I actually broke this heel off. I'll tell you the story behind that. Let's see if I can get it.
Now that we've seen those in Florida with a very thin heel and a relatively wide.
And
That looks a little bit
the-
wider, I think, than the actual foot.
even the adults here, the foot shapes, even the adults, it's the heels are very narrow, and then it widens like I actually measured an adult track earlier. He had the narrowest heel, but the track at the widest part, it was an 9 inch in width.
Have you noticed an offset, kind of like a little J right there at the end with the heel? Have you noticed anything like that where it's just off just a little bit?
I have in several of them, and I've looked up trying to figure that out, and I believe it's something to do with an injury or a
Well, we've seen a lot of them like that down there. To me, I don't think it's the shape of the foot. I think it's the way they're walking. I think the foot comes down and then turns a little, almost like
the
they're
most
coming
part.
straight down and it's turning. Because we found them
Yes.
just like that. Carl Gotro has one, and as soon as I saw it, I said, "That's a skunk ape." That's exactly what we found in Florida. What he had on his back patio there.
I've actually been trying to figure that out for quite a while because it is for the most part they're almost all like that. There's a few of them that aren't quite like that, but for the most part they all got that little hook kind of deal going on there at the heel. I'm not quite sure what they got going on. This one here actually, I'm not sure. This is actually the one I was talking about. I don't know if I just didn't get the cast good enough there, but
Back it up a little bit, Aaron, where we can see the whole thing. Back it up towards you a little bit. Does that have a little bit of that curve to it on the heel? I think it does.
It does. And I actually broke
sure
the end
does.
off there because let me tell you the story behind that. Do you see here at the end where it looks broke off?
Yeah.
Where the heel actually kicked up there, it kicked a hole up. It had been raining and it was really muddy, but it had been raining and it kicked a hole. So it caused when his heel picked up, it actually made a hole. And the cast, when I poured the cast, it flowed back down into that hole.
Okay.
So let me see if I can kind of show you what I'm saying here.
That piece
The
broke off.
actual, well, I actually recorded too much. The actual footprint cut off about right in here.
I got you.
So this
It's
here,
just
but now
it's
it still
overcast.
it still had that curve to it.
A little bit of overspill. But yeah, to me, it just seems like because we had
But
seen
even
many,
the adults.
yeah, well, because we had seen so many like that down there, we found 100 at least, and half of them had that and it was every step was exactly the same. Like the foot was just crazily misshapen, and I got to thinking it's got to be the way they're walking, that they're just hitting with their heel and their foot's turning. Maybe
Well,
at the end.
I guess it's caused me to second guess myself a lot of times because the tracks that you'll see like as far as the Pacific Northwest goes, those are nothing like, or I'm not going to say nothing like, but they're not what I'm seeing here for the most part. They've usually got that little curve there around the heel instead of as opposed to the straight.
Just
the
a regular,
just
a regular straight flat.
They've got that little bit.
Well, hey, look, we've reached the end of our hour, Aaron. We definitely appreciate you coming on here. We wish you the best of luck. Everyone, make sure you go and subscribe to Southern Alabama Sasquatch, or is it South Alabama Sasquatch? Yeah, Make
South
sure you go and
Alabama.
subscribe to South Alabama Sasquatch.
sir.
You can see what Aaron's putting out, what he's getting down there. This Friday night is our sit-in format. It's going to be at 9:30 p.m. Central. And we're going to have John Long is going to be on with us. And everyone's welcome to come and sit in. It's like a call-in, except you're not calling in. You're sitting in. So make sure you bring a question or bring a topic to the discussion when you come sit in with us. And hopefully we'll see you guys then. And thank you, Daniela. I know it's 2 a.m. there. Go to bed.
Good night, everyone.